Good morning, everybody. So today we are making chapati. So chapati basically is known as the name comes from chapat. Chapat means in Hindi. Chapat is a Hindi word. So chapat means flat. So flat breads you can say. So that's how the name came chapati for that. So actually we are making this video today. We are making the two people will make, Steve and me. We just want to show you if the same thing we are making but in different ways. A person differs on each person, like how he wants to make that chapati or rotis you can say. A roti is also another name for chapatis. It depends on from which region you come from. If you come from south, then you call them chapati. If you come from North India, then you call them rotis and all. So let's get started with, okay? So I'm using this wheat flour.
Lots of different flours. We call this atta. This one, a lot of people in England will remember. This is brands called Pillsbury. So when you were growing up, you'll probably remember the Pillsbury Doughboy who was on the adverts. And strangely, it's for sale over here now.
Yeah, so I have put this atta. Okay, so we're adding some salt. Little bit of like 2 pinch. And coconut oil a little bit. It's not traditional, but
It's actually partly my fault because I don't fry my chapatis like a lot of people, so I just put a little splash in when we cook. And Suvrana's kind enough to
follow yours.
follow my lead.
So a little bit I'm adding little water like in batches. So actually I can't tell you the exact amount of water, how much I have to use and all, because I've not measured this thing. So you have to check, like if it becomes like little grainy and all, then you have to put more of water into this.
What we're actually doing here, we're doing 2 separate batches. She'll make one, I'll make one, just to show you how even if you do exactly the same thing, your chapatis will be slightly different from somebody else's. So like to the point of how you get the texture of your chapatis when you're mixing them like this. Well, hers will be slightly different than mine.
And the shape too.
The shape will definitely be very different from mine. Even though Suvrana was born making chapatis, you know, she was rolling them when she was like 5 months old or something.
No, I was like 6 or 5 years old or something.
Oh,
Don't make me so small.
Excuse me for my mistake. But anyway, she was pretty young doing it. Usually mine are a little bit rounder, strangely. I'm not sure why, but
I don't actually. The fact is, I don't like making chapatis. I like to eat them, but I don't like to because they don't become round mine. So that's a fault in me. I'm not a perfect person like to cook and all. But yeah, chapati is my weak point.
And now we've got that on tape. So you know what's going to happen though.
But you all know that I'm better in other things.
You know
I've got the certificate too now.
You know what's going to happen, ironically though. Suvrana's will come out perfect today and mine will just be awful and full of holes and burnt.
So I felt that this dough is little sticky. It should not stick to your hand and all. So I'm using little bit of dry flour. So it should become nice, smooth it should become. Steve will tell you an incident what happened when I was 5 or 6 years old in the kitchen. What happened?
It could explain Suvrana's dislike of making rotis. When she was little, like small.
Small.
She was about the height of the cooker, and her mother was making.
I was like this much. This height it was. My head from like it was.
Her mother was making rotis, and she tends to fry them. She puts a little bit of oil on the tawa and fries them a bit. And Suvrana's keenness to learn the skills of making rotis, she reached up and grabbed the tawa and poured the oil on herself. And it wasn't very pleasant for a while. So it might explain her not enjoying making them now.
You can say that.
Although actually she's a lot better than she's pretending.
Aw.
Okay, so this is rolled and ready to go. So we're going to switch over now and I'm going to do exactly the same and then we'll move on to the next part. Good morning, lovely people. So now it's my turn in the hot seat. So I'm basically going to do the same. Well, it will appear the same, but it must be something slightly different because things always come out a little bit different from each other. So first of all, put the flour in the bowl. What we found out lately, I thought this is Pillsbury, I'm going to put a bit less actually because Suvrana's already made some. Pillsbury flour. We've actually found out that our favourite one is Patanjali flour. Patanjali, the multi-grain flour. It's really nice for making chapatis. But obviously, if you're in the UK or wherever you are, you may not be able to find it in your local shop. So you can use just any fine white flour or fine whole grain flour. People do make them out of brown flour, and they are kind of okay. But we're used to this, so we tend to use white flour. Anyway, I've got a little bit in the bowl there. I'm going to put a little dash of coconut oil in, which you can not do. You can purely make them out of flour and water. I just find that the oil, for me, just adds a little something. So there's probably a teaspoon of oil in there. Pinch of salt. Now I'm going to do it the same as well. I'm going to add the water a bit at a time because it's quite easy to You'd be surprised how little water you need to put in to actually over liquefy it. So I'll just bring this all together. Right, to me that's obviously too soft and it's actually too small as well. So I'll put a little bit more flour in there. I would put a little bit more flour in there if I could open the packet. Right, add a little bit more flour and I'll bring it together with that. Which actually sometimes works better because you can see how the texture of your dough is becoming as you add the flour bits at a time. And if you've got a little bit extra like that left over, it's not really a big problem because you can use it to flour the work surface while you're rolling them. So it's not going to go to waste, but just try to be sensible.
See, you can see the way how he is doing in the hands, and I was doing in the bowl itself.
And the other thing I don't do, and I don't think Suvrana does it much either, a lot of people will overwork the dough, I think. Like they'll knead it for hours and hours. They have these funny tradition things where you have to fold it 27 times and roll it. I think do it less. Once it comes together, like to me, get the texture, and it's got to be like your earlobe. If you're pinching your earlobe, it should feel like that, and that's perfect. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit more flour, just because that's a little bit.
Steve, how my mom does, she mixes the dough, everything like how we do, except the oil. She doesn't put the oil in the dough. What she does it after kneading the dough, after the dough is very soft and smooth, then she applies on surface of the dough.
Yes.
So that's a different thing how she makes it.
Another different thing I've seen, a lot of people here I've noticed, they don't use flour on the work surface. What they do is they make their little ball of dough, flatten it out, and they put oil on both sides of it with their hands.
Yeah.
And then they just roll it out using the oil to stop it sticking. I try to use as little oil as possible. So there's my little piece of
You
dough.
give it a shape.
I always give it a shape.
Do you want to win from me, Steve?
Yes, of course, I want to win. No, anyway, so now what we're going to do is we're going to swap back again, and Suvrana's going to show you the next stage.
The rolling stage.
The rolling stage.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, we'll start the second step, that is rolling of chapati. So I'm using this flour as Steve mentioned earlier that we can use it for rolling. So I'm sprinkling it on the surface. Actually, there's a special wooden, what do you call that, Steve, in English?
A wooden thing.
A wooden board.
A wooden
board. Special wooden board for chapatis. But we don't have that. But it doesn't matter to us because we can do it on anything. And you know what, Steve, when I was in hostel, I was doing it on a flat plate, a steel plate, because we did not have that thing.
I've actually rolled them with using an old wine bottle before because I didn't have a rolling pin.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm rolling it slightly, like don't put much pressure on it, so otherwise it will get stick on the surface.
What's actually slightly worrying here is this coming out really well for some reason, and I'm getting a bit intimidated now.
It's not big yet, so when it becomes like bigger in size, then it might go wrong.
That's another thing where... oh dear, look, it's all gone horribly wrong.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, another thing I was saying is people roll them at different sizes. So some people roll them really big, so they'll be the full size of the tower, and some people will roll them smaller. So I've seen them from the size of like a dinner plate down to the size of like a side plate. Just depends on your preference. I'd say to start with, if you're new to it, I would roll them relatively small. They're just easier to handle.
Yeah, so like you should don't roll it evenly all the sides, especially the edges, because we don't want fat chapatis like bread. If you want that, then better make a bread instead of making a chapati.
And seriously, you really don't get hung up about the shape, because a lot of the times when you get them in restaurants and things, they're actually made on a press, so they're not actually rolled round like that, so they look impressive, but they actually put the ball of dough on a little press, like a sort of waffle maker almost, and press them flat and then cook them at the same time.
So actually I was going to do like I just make one and then fried one on the tawa, but because of Steve I have to hold on with that. Or should I proceed it, Steve?
No, hold it now. Just put it on the plate and we'll cook them at the same time.
Because I can handle that thing, but Steve can't. So.
And you see how she's skillfully actually made the outline of Karnataka where she lives.
No, it's not that. Like, okay. It's,
Her village is about here.
I hope it's not thick. So.
Okay. So... I'll do the next one, probably.
Okay, you're doing the next.
I'm back in the hot seat now, so I'm going to roll one of these.
Did you all notice one thing on Steve's body? There's an apron. There's an apron. Okay, there's an apron.
I thought she was going to say apart from my muscular physique, but obviously not. It's the apron that's... I have to wear an apron. I'm such a messy...
Chef. That's why we named it Shorty Chef.
Right, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to take a little ball of this. Now, Suvrana didn't mention the size. I tend to do them slightly smaller. So I do them, the ball, roughly the size of a lemon, like an Indian lemon. So... if you see that.
Almost the same.
Almost the same. So.
Yes. Please excuse Steve's hairy hand. Please don't get distracted with that.
My hairy hands, like the Hobbit. Yes, that's me. It's because I'm the prime silverback. That's why. Right. So, what I tend to do is rub them both sides in the dough, because for me, for some reason, they always stick to the rolling pin. These rolling pins are a lot thinner than the ones we use at home for bread making and so forth.
Steve, you wanted to use the other roller, right?
No, the brown one. I like this one.
I kept 2 rollers, guys, but he wanted to use the roller which I used because he thought that it might come good.
Can you believe it?
Oh my God, they're literally coming round, Steve.
Yeah, at the moment.
At the moment.
It'll go horribly wrong in a minute. Right. You see, my technique is a little bit less fluid than Suvrana's, and I've developed a very strange habit. I'm not quite sure why, but I tend to roll from the middle to the outside. I don't roll right
it's
across.
good. Yeah, it is meant to be like that.
Oh,
because it is meant to be like that.
I've always done it because I wanted to make sure that the edges were properly rolled as well as the inside.
Yeah.
So I've always done it that way.
Yeah, you've done the right thing, Steve.
Oh, there you go.
I think everyone should do that.
My
Oh my God, you're like winning this time.
Right. So,
Oh no.
as you see, It's quite round.
Okay,
isn't it?
I have two
no, hang on,
more.
one moment. Right. Now, this is someone who's
Okay.
born with a chapati roller in her hand.
Because I don't like making chapati. That's why I did
And
not.
also, I just want to point this out. So you're just going to hold it up to the window. You could actually probably see through that if you were. Look.
No.
Yes.
No. Steve, stop it, okay?
Okay, so we'll move on to the next stage because there's no point you watching us rolling 3 chapatis each. And what we do is, if Suvrana's is a bit rounder, the next one, we'll swap them in the edit. So it looks
No, I'll show the real ones, don't worry. Okay, we'll see you all later. Okay, the third step is putting the rolled chapati on the tawa. See, it has almost come round.
What Suvrana didn't mention is we've preheated this tower. It's nice and hot.
Yeah.
It's been on the gas a while. And what I tend to do to check it is I hold my hand slightly above it, and when I find it a little bit unbearable, then I think it's hot enough to start.
Yeah, so when you get this, like, see the bubbles and all, just gently, okay? Gently.
Look at that finesse.
And then flip it over.
Okay.
Leave the gas.
So if you look at the texture of it, if I zoom in a little bit, you'll see little bubbles coming up on the surface, especially when the gas is on. That helps.
No, it went off. I wanted to make it low, so it went
okay.
off.
Okay.
It's your fault, your gas it is.
Yeah, that's right. That's my fault. Okay, I'm going to switch off for a second, and I'll come back on when we're nearer to cooked.
Okay, so this is like almost done on one side. I'm going to flip it again because we don't want it kacha. Kacha means raw.
Oh, that's a new word I've learned today.
Kacha. I'm teaching him Hindi classes nowadays. So let's see if he learns good Hindi.
She is actually teaching me Hindi of an evening.
See, you can see it's getting puffed. Actually, my mom's and all, sometimes it gets like whole thing gets puffed, which I can never do in my life, I think, because I don't like making this chapatis.
Okay. So she's just
I'm just
doing
pressing.
the final. Yeah, she's just pressing down the edges to make sure that they're cooked at the edges and everything.
Yeah,
And
that's
what we do when that's done is a quick change with the camera because I'm going to cook one of the ones I've made now.
Yeah.
So Suvrana's cooked hers, and now what I'm going to do is cook one of the round ones so you can see.
It was almost round, okay, Steve?
Okay, it's moderately.
Yeah.
Round. Let's say moderately. Okay, so I have a slightly different way of cooking them from Suvrana. I lay them gently on the.
I don't think so. He never in his life he's going to pronounce my name properly, Steve.
Suvrana.
No.
Okay. Well,
It's okay. I can take it.
she changes it herself every so often, so I can't keep it. So if you look at this, you see these little
Small
dots appearing.
bubbles. Yeah.
So now I'm going to turn it over because I find if
With
you
a knife.
if you don't do that, you see this slight charring here. You get a patch
Black.
of charring, and I don't think
Yeah.
it's very good when you serve it. It doesn't taste any different. So now it's bubbling up here. This is part of my reason for not mixing it too much because the oil.
Oh my god, can you do it
Sorry,
once
sorry.
more? I did not record it properly. Please do it one more. Oh my god, this is so good.
You've been around as long as me. You can do that.
He's an expert.
So anyway,
So you all can clearly see who is the winner over here now.
back to the pointed question. What I would say is when they're ready, when you get these little brown dots on the peaks of the nice airy, light, flaky bubbles, you'll know it's ready. There, that's
See.
ready. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I'm going to take that off and put it on there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cook the others off camera. There's no point you watching us cook loads and loads of chapatis, and then we'll show you what we're going to have for breakfast. Back after having cooked the rotis on the tower. Now, as you can see, these are slightly different from each other.
Yeah.
Now, ignore the shape; it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just
It doesn't change the taste, guys.
It
So
doesn't change taste
yeah.
at all. So that is what I'm looking for when I cook them.
it's perfect. It's perfect in my eyes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you tear it, I like to have a bit, it's sort of like it's a bit flaky. I don't know if you can tell that. These the bubbles, like here, this one Suvrana's made. Some of the bubbles are bigger. The air bubbles are bigger, and you'll get a nice flaky texture from that because it'll open up when you tear it to eat.
Yeah.
So in some ways, that's better. But having said that, my other one's got the big bubbles in anyway.
Yeah.
Now, what we were saying earlier on is, Suvrana, if you watch the other video where she makes the Jawa rotis, they are just perfect, round, beautifully made. Go in here with a rolling pin, look at it. Looks like a map of Connecticut. No, that doesn't matter.
Okay.
So what we'll do, we'll just do a momentary little video in a minute after we taste them, and we'll compare the taste and see if they're the same and blah blah blah. And that will be the end of the video. Now, the last bit is the truth in the tasting. This is
Yours.
Yeah, this is the first one. Light, flaky, melts in the mouth. It's almost.
Tell them in simple way, Steve. Don't make them complicated.
It's almost like a mouthful of cloud. You know, the way it just dissolves.
Oh my God, this man.
No, we'll try this one. This is the one Suvrana made.
Yeah. Oh, Steve!
Oh, exactly. I put in my good serve teeth today. No, actually,
can you show yours?
what?
Set of teeth.
Don't be impertinent. They don't taste much different, to be honest. I would say mine's got a tiny bit more salt, and this one is slightly thicker, but not much.
Perfect salt,
So
you
they're
have
both-
to say.
They're both
Yeah.
perfectly acceptable and perfectly tasty
Yeah, and eatable too.
and edible.
Yeah.
And we're going to enjoy them very much.
Yeah.